latest updates on what's happening in this country and beyond. Welcome to our program tonight. I'm Yvonne Okwara Matole. Lots to talk about in our news bulletin. So let's take a look at our highlights tonight.
You all know that there were claims even up to Kenya shillings 2 million per month. And this in itself takes care of any of those abuses.
SRC wants the president and MP's pay slashed after the general election.
Your views are very important, whether oral, whether written. We shall take those views into our boardroom.
IEBC meets political parties as stakeholders' consultation on ballot printing tender is held in Nairobi.
I'll explain this in colloquial terms. He had a sudden onset fatal heart attack. This arose because one of the major blood vessels supplying the wall of his heart was severely compromised.
Pathologists rule out foul play in Kaiseri's death after post-mortem reveals that he suffered a heart attack. And Deputy President William Ruto heckled by sections of a crowd in Chemolingot. Our sign language interpreter tonight is William Siller. So let's start with the demise of Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaiseri and the post-mortem that was done today. A team of pathologists who operated on the late Interior CS have ruled out the possibility of foul play and stated that the late general died of a heart attack. The autopsy report comes after a day-long exercise and analysis that brought together two teams of pathologists, one from the government and another engaged by the family. Kaiseri, who died suddenly at dawn last Saturday, will be buried at his Ilbisil home in Kajiado County this Saturday.
We have concluded a thorough and complete post-mortem on General Nkaiseri, and we have found that he suffered an acute myocardial infarction due to severe occlusion of a coronary artery secondary to atherosclerotic changes. I'll explain this in colloquial terms. He had a sudden onset fatal heart attack. This arose because one of the major blood vessels supplying the wall of his heart was severely compromised and could only allow a very small volume of blood to pass through it, resulting in the heart area that it supplied to undergo death. At this stage, we see no evidence whatsoever of foul play in the examination that we have conducted. Okay? But further tests will follow, and we'll see what that will bring out. But at this point in time, there is absolutely no evidence seen by us that there was any indication of foul play.
The most common situation, in direct answer to your question, is a sudden occlusion of an already narrowed artery, usually due to a tiny blood clot or spasm. The triggers are anything you can think of, but in many cases this could happen when you're sitting down talking to friends, having a meal. So we cannot speculate on triggers per se. These are sudden events that have been led on by a progressive occlusion of an artery to a point that it causes a total occlusion due to a sudden event, often a clot that blocks the artery.
The ruling Jubilee Party is now accusing Chief Justice David Maraga and some judges of colluding with the opposition to delay the general election. Jubilee claims they are also plotting to lay the ground for the formation of a coalition government. But as Chris Tharu reports, the judiciary has dismissed the allegations.
The judiciary is yet again in the spotlight following the weekend's remarks by the head of state regarding the ruling delivered last week on the printing of ballot papers by the Dubai-based Al Ghurair printing company.
Na sisi hatutakubali wenzetu watumie makoti na kuintimidate IEBC wakifikiria ya kwamba watashinda kupitia mlango ya nyuma. Hakuna kitu kama hicho.
When the Chief Justice says that IEBC should not print ballot papers because there are cases in court, what does it mean to a layman like me and million others who are looking at the Chief Justice for independence?
One Justice Odunga is related to James Orengo through marriage. He's married to Sarah Odunga, who is the daughter of the late Archbishop Ondiek, and therefore is a relative of Orengo.
My nearest relative would be Uhuru Kenyatta, because his sister was married in Ugenya to a cousin of mine, known as Dr. Jojo Wino, who was a dentist.
As Chief Justice, I'm not going to respond every time to statements made by anybody in the public.
And while Chief Justice David Maraga has avoided to comment on statements made by the political class during their campaigns, this one has forced him to come out and defend his institution. In a letter to newsrooms, Maraga termed the statement as unfortunate. In the statement, he says, and I quote, "The comments I made in Mombasa and elsewhere, which were deliberately taken out of context, were in reference to the court's efforts to expeditiously clear the numerous petitions arising from the party primaries in order not to inconvenience the printing of ballot papers. At no point did I ask the IEBC not to proceed with the ballot printing." End quote.
The judiciary is not going to decide any case on the basis of what anybody will say. The judiciary, the judges and the magistrates understand their role. They will decide cases on the facts and the law.
The Law Society of Kenya, through its chairman, Isaac Okero, has also condemned the attack on the judiciary, terming it as irresponsible. In a statement, the chairman says, and I quote, "The accusations and warning leveled at the CJ and the judiciary represent an unacceptable breach in the doctrine of separation of powers and a gross violation of the independence of the judiciary, and at a time that is expected to play a crucial role on behalf for the benefit of the people of Kenya, and that such attacks erode public confidence in the judiciary." End quote.
When outrightly the chairman of Law Society of Kenya, where we are the members, wakes up each and every morning, issues statements that are outrightly biased, and tries to pretend that a critique of the judicial decisions is actually a threat to judicial independence, who is he exactly addressing and on whose behalf?
But the opposition under the National Super Alliance was recently accused of attempting to bully appellate court judges prior to their verdict on the finality of constituency presidential results.
Ile apili wamepeleka kwa mahakama ambayo jaji mkuu anatarajiwa aweke pamoja na Pius Board. Tunawauliza kama wananasa waondoe mara moja. Kama mahakama itabadilisha hiyo sheria, hakuna uchaguzi Kenya.
And it appears that the Jubilee politicians are not yet done in attacking some of the judges, claiming that the judiciary is working in cahoots with the opposition to lay ground for a coalition government.
And we are telling the Chief Justice, let not the judiciary be one of the avenues that will be used by our competitors. In achieving a nusu mukate government. They should not wait for that.
Why is it that the judiciary wants to hide under the esteemed doctrine of judicial independence to perpetuate bias and to perpetuate perceptions of bias?
Many in the Jubilee side have been saying that NASA has been pursuing this court case in order to delay the elections. Let me say categorically, that we are very keen to have this election on the 8th of August.
Observers argue that the more the political class continues to attack the judiciary, the more the confidence of Kenyans in the judiciary will be eroded. Chris, the KTN News.
All right, so the judiciary in the line of target, in the line of fire, on both sides of the political divide. Our big question tonight, we ask you on Monday Night News, is the executive justified in criticizing the judiciary's recent rulings? Is the executive justified to criticize the judiciary's recent rulings? Please send us your text message, yes or no, with a brief comment, your name and your location, to the number 22155. It's absolutely free. Alternatively, you can tweet me tonight at Yvonne Okwara at KTN News, and we'll get to your feedback in just a moment. Let's just focus on our other top stories of the day today. In a consultative meeting between the 8 presidential candidates and officials of the IEBC ended without consensus on the resolution of the row on the printing of presidential ballot papers. And as Marimi Mwangi now tells us, some of the presidential candidates now want the ballot papers printed locally.
After the Friday setback at the High Court, where a 3-judge bench quashed the award of the presidential ballot papers printing tender to Dubai-based firm Al Ghurair.
And this proposal, Mr. Chair,
electoral body IEBC met 4 presidential candidates and representatives of the other 4, including those of frontrunners President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leader Raila Odinga. But even here, consensus remained elusive.
We have no interest to actually determine who gets the award or how it is given. That is not our job. Our job is to do politics.
Watu wako kichwa ngumu Kenya. If you say, and it's good for me, I will not respect that. And I say, my brother said it's good for the country. But because you say it, I will not keep quiet. I must also say, and I must oppose you. That is the trend. That is what is going on.
is IEBC equipped with end-to-end visibility and traceability system along the entire election supply chain, from the distribution of election material to actual voting day?
Our business is to assure us, and I think you have done it, that on the 8th of August 2017, at 6 a.m. when the polls will open, there will be presidential ballot papers.
President Kenyatta's team, led by National Assembly Majority Leader Aden Duale and his Senate counterpart Kithure Kindiki, distanced Jubilee from the tendering row, as the Siaya Senator James Orengo led Odinga's team, demanded that IEBC should separate the ballot papers tender from that of election results declaration forms to be awarded to a different company.
We are not late. We have sufficient time to, in a way that accords to the principles of the Constitution, print and deliver this ballot across the country.
If they are saying and they mean we are not interested, we not participate, you give it to the government printers.
We hope that you are going to be able to deal with this matter as quickly as possible, so that we can give you ideas within the law.
We believe that you have the competence, or ought to have the competence, to independently, as per the Constitution and your mandate, carry out processes that will deal with procurement of materials that will aid in the elections itself.
The IEBC is still collecting public views through written memoranda until 5 p.m. on Tuesday.
Even NASA can be given.
But the IEBC could be staring at another round of litigation, even as third-way presidential candidate Ekuru Aukot accused the Chebukati team of dishonesty.
We've just learned that actually you have appealed this decision, and therefore are we implementing, because then it seems to me, Chair, you're doing PR with us.
Your views are very important, whether oral, whether written. We shall take those views into our boardroom. We are going to retreat. We shall discuss.
We shall also engage other stakeholders other than the political leaders. There are other stakeholders out here.
As political grandstanding persists regarding the printing of presidential ballot papers, the spotlight turns to the IEBC as the quest for the elusive consensus on the divisive issue continues 28 days to the August 8th polls. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News in Nairobi.
To matters money now. Members of Parliament are the biggest casualties of a new salary structure that gives all state officers a pay cut. MPs' car grants have been slashed, plenary sitting allowances abolished, and mileage claims scrapped and replaced with a fixed mileage allowance. The new structure will save the country 8 billion shillings annually. And as Rita Tinina reports, the President and the leaders of majority and minority in both houses of Parliament have suffered the highest salary reduction.
Flashy vehicles, or is it fuel guzzlers? Such are the benefits that come with being a senator or a member of the National Assembly, thanks to a car grant and thousands of shillings in mileage claims. Well, senators and members of the National Assembly in the 12th Parliament will not have it that rosy. A car grant that used to amount to 2 billion shillings a year has not only been scrapped. The reimbursable mileage allowance that gave senators and MPs a free hand in mileage claims has also been abolished.
This removes all claimable mileages.
They will be paid a fixed mileage allowance in their payroll based on the distance from Nairobi to the county headquarters.
There were claims even up to Kenya shillings 2 million per month. And this in itself takes care of any of those abuses.
In both houses, committee chairpersons usually receive 10,000 shillings and members get 5,000 shillings per sitting and have been at liberty to hold as many sittings as they deem necessary. Now, they will only be paid for a maximum of 16 sittings per month, with chairpersons receiving 8,000 shillings per sitting. Meaning, chairpersons of committees will get a maximum of 128,000 shillings and members 80,000 shillings per month in sitting allowances. The special parliamentary allowance, special responsibility allowance and sitting allowance for the plenary have been abolished. Add that to the 88,000 shilling pay cut for the legislators and they become the biggest casualties of the new structure.
There is absolutely no reason why both the Senate and the National Assembly members should earn a salary and at the same time draw sitting allowance for the plenary sessions. Otherwise, there will be many sitting and standing and walking allowances.
Honourable members, the Speaker of the Senate and the National Assembly will earn 1.1 million shillings, down from 1.3 million shillings. The leader of majority in the Senate and the National Assembly and the leader of minority in both houses of Parliament will earn 765,000 shillings, a 255,000 shilling pay reduction. MCAs will earn 144,000 shillings, a 20,000 shilling pay cut. Governors will earn 924,000 shillings. Deputy governors, 621,000 shillings. Speaker of the County Assembly, 259,000 shillings. The new salary structure does not spare the holder of the highest office in the land. The president will get a salary of 1.4 million shillings, down from 1.6 million shillings. The deputy president, 1.2 million from 1.4 million shillings. Cabinet secretaries, secretary to the cabinet, attorney general, and the chief of defense forces will earn 924,000 shillings. The commander of the Kenya Air Force, the Kenya Navy, and the Deputy Inspector General of Police will get 621,000 shillings. In the constitutional commissions, the Auditor General and the IEBC chairperson will receive 924,000 shillings. The Controller of Budget, IEBC Vice Chair, Director of Public Prosecutions and the IEBC Commissioners will earn 765,000 shillings and the Registrar of Political Parties will get 650,000 shillings. The new figures will save the country 8 billion shillings a year as the Commission tries to bring down the wage bill, which currently stands at 52% of the domestic revenue.
And as public servants, we cannot ignore the element of sacrifice as opposed to looking at employment as a source of enriching ourselves.
Kenyan state officers are among the best paid in the world. The move by the SRC will save the country over 40 billion shillings in 5 years, but will not go down well with those who will be elected and appointed after the August polls. And with MPs being the biggest casualties of the pay cut, the new structure may define the first major battle by the 12th Parliament. Rita Tinina, KTN News.
President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto today sustained the heat on the judiciary and the electoral body IEBC, accusing the two of seeking to scuttle the forthcoming general election. The leaders faulted the ruling by the court cancelling the printing of presidential ballot papers, terming it discriminatory. The two were on a campaign in Turkana County. Elvis Koskei has that story.
The Jubilee Brigade was here to woo voters in the vast county of Turkana, an area perceived to be the opposition stronghold. During their campaigns in Lodwar town, President Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto once again faulted the recent ruling given by the courts on the presidential ballot printing case.
Wakati judges wanachaguliwa ambao wako waziwazi ni familia ya wale ambao wako na makesi pamoja na sisi, na wao majudges wameonyesha waziwazi msimamo wao wa kisiasa. Sasa tunauliza bwana Chief Justice, sasa itakuwaje na independence ya judiciary?
Ruto took issue with Chief Justice David Maraga over comments attributed to him on the case before it was heard by the court.
To help us understand, especially those of us who are not learned, what is the situation when a judge is appointed who has known family relations with those we have issues in court and who have unapologetically shown that they are one-sided? Where is the independence? Are we supposed to continue believing that our courts are independent? Because we may not be learned, my friends, but certainly we are not fools.
The DP questioned the independence of the judiciary and the electoral body IEBC.
Sasa wameenda wakarecruit judiciary na IEBC kwa mambo hiyo, ndio tusiwe na uchaguzi, ndio kuwe na hali ya taharuki na kuwe na confusion, ndio nchi hii iende barabara mbaya, waendelee na mambo yao ya siasa yao waliojenga kwa mambo ya fujo. Sisi tunawaambia mahakama, they should not be recruited into incidences of people who are known for furthering their political careers using confusion, anarchy, and conflict. Mambo ya food security. Kuna mashamba hapa. Tunaweza kutoa chakula nyingi. Mtu wa Roma na maji haina sima ya kutosha. Na tunajua tukiwa pamoja na mheshimiwa rais tunaweza kusaidia watu.
The head of state asked Turkana residents to turn up in large numbers during August 8 elections and vote for Jubilee candidates in the area. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News.
Deputy President William Ruto had a rough time in Chemolingot Tiaty Constituency as he addressed a rally in the area. Ruto was heckled as he tried to introduce the Jubilee senatorial candidate Simon Chelugui. He was part of the Jubilee campaign team that toured Baringo County. Senator Gideon Moi was among those in attendance.
The Jubilee Brigade had roadside rallies in Kabarnet, Kabartonjo, Marigat and Eldamaravin, with President Uhuru Kenyatta selling his campaign agenda in the vast Baringo County.
Kabarnet jameni, tutakuwa pamoja. Tutatembea pamoja. Tutatembea pamoja. Tutajitokeza tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8. Hebu nione kwa mikono ni wangapi wanasema watajitokeza. Na huyu mjumbe wetu huyu na mama.
However, when Deputy President William Ruto began his address, the crowd in Chemolingo Tiaty Constituency was getting restless. Ruto was endorsing the Jubilee Party senatorial candidate Simon Chelugui, and the crowd started heckling him.
Na ule muungwana nyinyi mnajua huyo muungwana huyo? Huyo Chelugui anatosha ama atoshi? Atoshi. Chelugui huyo anatosha ama atoshi? Atoshi, atoshi.
And even when he tried to engage the crowd with the party slogan, the crowd's response was an implication that the DP should address the security situation in Tiaty instead.
Nasa, nikisema Harambee, tunasema Jubilee. Harambee! Harambee! Harambee!
But it appeared to be an individual issue rather than a party issue, because area member of parliament Asman Kamama, who is defending his seat on a Party for Development Reforms ticket, also got his fair share of the crowd's anger.
Deputy President wetu. Hakuna. Hakuna. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No. Unataka kiuta kwanza. Kiuta tangulia kwanza. Kiuta kwanza. No, no, no. Kiuta kwanza. No, 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 no. Kiuta kwanza. Kiuta kwanza. Kiuta kwanza. No, no, no. Kiuta kwanza. Kiuta, kiuta. Kiuta, kiuta.
The people indicated that they preferred to be addressed by Simon Kiuta, the Jubilee candidate. While at Kabarnet, Ruto's AD Farouk Kibet seemed uncomfortable with the presence of Baringo Senator Gideon Moi at the podium. Moments later, after Gideon left the podium, William Ruto came forward to address the crowd. While addressing the crowd, Gideon Moi asked the president to create more job opportunities for the youth.
Nimesi rais, nikitembea hapa Baringo, kila pembe, mlio ya vijana ni ukosefu ya kazi. Ninakusii vile umesema kwa manifesto, utapatia hawa vijana kazi.
Gideon Moi will be defending his Baringo senatorial seat on a Kanu ticket.
All right, let's remind you of our big question tonight, and we're asking you whether you think the executive is justified in criticizing the judiciary's recent rulings. At It's Levi Prime on Twitter says, the executive and the judiciary must remain separate regardless of the interests of some political groups. Philip Mbindia says, Jubilee government's intimidation is unacceptable and erodes the judiciary's independence. Gakunga Wanjuguna says, in the right way, yes, not when they don't rule in your favor. Gidua Wakoine, watching us from Bahati, Nairobi, says, yes, it's allowed and accepted. What are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree with the views I have read so far? Keep your comments coming in at Yvonne Aquara, at KTN News, and on 22155. I'll be getting to your feedback a little bit more as we carry on with this bulletin. We're taking our first break tonight on Monday Night News. Back with more.